Welcome to the Better Than Yesterday Everyday Podcast, where we cover anything related to behavior change that will increase your long-term wellness and happiness. And now, here are your hosts, personal trainer and RNs, Matt and Jenna Lane.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Better Than Yesterday Everyday Podcast. My name is Matt.
And my name's Jenna.
Jenna and I host this podcast all about implementing your behavior change for long-term wellness and happiness. So if you're that kind of person, if you're tired of your health being an anomaly or a random piece, you found the right podcast. I'm a personal trainer. Jenna and I are nurses. We've been in the healthcare and fitness worlds for quite some time. 3 years ago, we turned this into a business, Matt Lane Fitness, and then the Better Than Yesterday Everyday Podcast was born. In this podcast, we're talking about Jenna's topic that you're going to run the show with this, babe. So
yeah, we're basically talking about how neurotic I am, and I'm pretty sure many of you can relate to that.
Fantastic. And at the top of every show, before we talk about our neuroses. Yes, I'm a healthcare professional. We hit you with our
gratitude point.
Gratitude point is something that you think of off the top of your head. If you could hear that in the background, Amazon just delivered a package, so that's great. Probably Jenna. This gratitude point is something that is big or small. It's a shift in perspective, and you think of it right off the top of your head. So right now, do that for me. If you're driving, if you're running, what are you doing? You at the gym? What are you doing? Press pause real quick and think of it. We'll wait.
I don't have a pause button.
Not you, them. You're interrupting the whole thing. Now you threw them off track. They didn't even pause. All right. I hoped you paused. So with that, Jenna, I'm going to have you go first. What's your gratitude point?
So don't get offended.
It's a tough way to start it, but okay, go ahead.
So about 6 months ago, I changed my work schedule to where my days off corresponded with Matt's days off from our regular day job, which has been fantastic. We've been able to start this podcast. We've been able to really put out a lot more content with Matt Lane Fitness. But as an introvert and someone that really needs time alone and quiet, I haven't had a single day since 6 months ago. So yesterday, Matt ended up working. I was off, and I didn't do anything crazy. I stayed home, and it was great. It was a really good, mentally relaxing, restoring day. I'm glad I had it.
Downtime, alone time is critical.
Mm-hmm.
Critical. And yeah, I guess until you don't realize that you're not having it, and then you have one day of it, you realize how important it is.
Yeah. I literally, all I did was clean. I literally sat in the kitchen on the floor and was cleaning the fridge, and I was like, today is great.
My Lord. Well, mine's a little different. I'm very appreciative of modern technology, and I think I've actually used that before, but I keep finding new things in modern technology or health technology, I guess. Here recently, I've gone down a rabbit hole of how to eat, what to eat, and I've tried many different things in 11 years of being into fitness, but most of the time, it's been the standard American diet or the SAD diet. I eat carbs, I eat fats, I eat proteins. There's really not much restriction, but just using balance, flexible nutrition. But we recently started doing some vegetarian/vegan things just to give it a shot, just to see what all the hype's about, see do we like it. And the more into these worlds that I went, the more it made me start questioning, where are we actually getting the meat from? Because point blank, I don't think that eating meat is bad. I don't. My big problem is the processing of it. So without me going further down this rabbit hole, I've ordered 2 allergen tests, and I want to test us and see, based on our DNA, what do we really have an allergy to? How does our body respond to these types of foods? And I just think that technology is incredible. That has not always been that way. I can order an $80 test. It comes, I send it off to a lab, and then in a few weeks I get results back saying that based on my DNA, this would be a little better from an inflammatory response.
Yeah.
So that's just incredible.
Yep.
Now, let's dive into your topic.
So this is something that Matt can't really relate. We kind of pre-gamed and talked about this a little bit ahead of time, and he was basically like, I don't understand what you're talking about. You're on your own. So if you've been listening to our podcast for a while, I have alluded to some of my neuroses in previous episodes, especially my anxiety episode, which I think was 2 or 3. So way back when. But this one I've been really working on lately, so I thought it would be a good topic to cover with you guys as well, because I feel like whether you can relate a little bit or a lot, it might be beneficial. And it is, I struggle a lot with my rituals or superstitions. I'm one of those people that has to have everything in order in general.
Are you talking about like ghosts and crap?
No.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm not talking about if you break a mirror, you have.
By the way, you're terrified. You're terrified of ghosts and all that too, though.
No, I'm not.
Mm-hmm. Anytime I try to talk to you about ghosts, you're like, I don't know. I don't want to talk about.
Well, because you talk about one living in our house. That's different.
Okay, go
than
ahead.
talking about like, ghosts and goblins other places.
Well, that's still you avoiding it. Anyway, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. Anyway, this is my subject.
Sorry, go ahead.
I've taken needing things to be in order just to be in order, because that's how my mind functions best, to a whole different level of it's a ritual, and if it's not done exactly the way that it always is, then I'm going to fail at whatever I'm doing, or I'm not going to have a good day. Or even if I look back, I say, oh, well, today was a bad day because of whatever. So, and to kind of provide some clarity to the craziness that I'm talking about, I'm about to get real open about my neuroses. When we used to work at the hospital, we did 3 12-hour days. And I was very convinced that the only way that my days would go well is if I had my first day socks and underwear, and my second day socks and underwear, and my third day socks and underwear. They always went together. It was always in that order. And if for some reason I couldn't have them in order, then I was completely convinced that that day was just going to be total chaos because I didn't have those things in order. And if I'll go a little bit deeper, if like my socks wore out, even just one pair or one sock, then I would have to start the whole set over. So all new underwear, all new socks, and then I would figure out my first day, second day, and third day set together. And I did that for 12 years.
What the hell?
Yes. So I took it from, I just like this set together and I like this set together, to if I didn't have them together, first day, second day, third day, then my day was going to be chaos, and it was going to be the fault of me not wearing the certain thing. And what I didn't realize at the time that it was me being neurotic. It was really just, this is just what I do. And looking back now, and I've really been trying to break myself of some of these just really insignificant and quite honestly, sometimes just blatantly stupid things that I do. Because in my mind, I've convinced myself if it's not this certain way, then I'm going to have a bad day or something is going to go wrong. Regardless of what it is that goes right or wrong, I tend to attribute it to whatever my
Got it.
thing is. So I've really been trying to break myself of that, because rationally speaking, you're not going to have a bad day because of a certain pair of socks you wore.
Why? Like, why is this?
I don't know. I think it's just, sometimes we just escalate things in our minds. And that's just something that I escalated into a ritual. And there's a lot of rituals that people do every day that completely bend your mind into what's going to happen. And let me give you an example. a basketball player at the free throw line, you see they always do the exact same thing. They always, dribble the ball a certain amount of times and spin it or whatever. And that's their ritual to be able to make the free throw. Same thing.
Yeah. Josh Kirsch, how he deadlifts.
Yeah.
How any power lifter that I'm now witnessing.
Right.
Absolutely.
But then you take it into a whole new level of that makes sense.
Yeah.
But then sometimes when you do it in your everyday life, it just turns into, what are you doing?
I think that's a good comparison. I think those things are a little different, and I think you realize that. But for you, the listener, I think that's something that's different. Like, because I've been lifting with if you're just now joining the podcast, I've been lifting with this guy named Josh Kirsch. He's actually now my trainer, but is a really good friend, and I'm diving in the world of powerlifting, and that is one thing is learning your own ritual, how you approach the bar every time. And I'm starting to settle into some of those pieces. And now when I don't do those pieces, Josh will call me out on it. So I get what you're saying about that. So yeah.
So, and that's different because you're making your mind is making your body do something specific.
But are you saying the big difference here is that if I didn't...
That makes sense.
Right. But for me to approach the bar. So what I do is I approach the bar to do a squat, and then I get up underneath the bar and I step out. Now 1, 2. I step out with one foot, step out the other foot. I'm set. So what you're saying is if I were to do like 1, 2, 3 steps and then not hit the squat, to blame it on that, which is clearly not the case.
Yeah. Well, and again, getting your mind to do, or getting your body to do something your mind wants to, that's one thing. As far as standing at the free throw line or about to lift a couple 100 pounds, that's different. That makes sense because you're in that gets you into that mindset where me saying, if I park in a certain place at work, that defines if I'm going to have a good day or not. They're not the same.
Right.
What it is me convincing myself of how my day is going to go. So regardless of how many good things or bad things happen, I'm going to attribute all the bad things to me not parking in the right spot. Or I'm going to attribute all the good things to finding or being able to park in the right spot that I want to park in. And it's all in my mind. None of that is real.
To me, that screams control. So I was asking you earlier why, and I think it's 1,000% for you. It's control, and you set the day up the same way every time. So you do have a good day, and you're like, there you go. It's because of that. In the back of your head, that's the reason. It's because of that. So I'm going to do that tomorrow, and that snowballed, and then it didn't happen. And I think it was just slowly. That's what you had control over. The day got away from you, but you can control how it starts. So that just seems like a control piece.
Yeah. Well, and some of these things start very insignificantly, like the parking thing. There's several different places I can park that are very far away from each other at the hospital that I go to or that I'm at the most. And there were a couple of times at the end of the day, I couldn't remember where I parked because there's like 6 different parking lots I can park in. And I just picked the closest spot and went into work. So to offset that, because I walked around the parking garage for like 20 minutes trying to find my car, I just decided I was going to park in the certain lot every day, even though it's not the closest. I'll at least remember where I parked. Completely rational, right? Well, now, so then it escalated in my mind of if that lot is full and I have to park somewhere else, it's not just, okay, I have to remember at the end of the day where I parked. It's I didn't get the lot that I park in, so now my day is not going to go well.
Right.
So it in my mind, it escalates from something completely rational to something completely irrational.
So do you think it's unhealthy?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
So what I've been trying to do is just purposely do some minor things that before would have totally set me over the edge. And
wow, I love that. Okay.
And I'm okay with it. And as long I coach myself through it of I'm going to do this. It has no rational bearing on what happens today. And no matter where I park or what socks I wear, today's going to be a good day. And if it's not, it has nothing to do with where I parked or what order I put my makeup on or whatever it is, the whatever neurosis I'm trying to get over, has no bearing. One has no bearing on the other.
So you're intentionally making yourself uncomfortable with the things that at one point made you comfortable.
Yes.
Awesome. Good.
There was even like my mind tends to do some crazy things. Like there's a guy that walks in our neighborhood in the morning, and we've never met.
We've got to stop and talk to that guy.
We've never spoken. Yeah. And he waves at everyone. I've never even heard his voice, but I can promise you he's probably one of the nicest people I've ever seen, because he waves at every car.
Or he's a serial killer, by the way.
That
goes
too,
one
maybe.
direction.
I don't know. And I was driving to work a couple weeks ago, and I didn't see him. I must have missed him. I was either a little bit early or a little bit late, and I missed him. And immediately my mind went to, oh my gosh, he's my good luck charm. If I didn't see him, I'm not going to have a good day. And then immediately it went to, well, wait a minute. What if he actually is my bad luck charm? And then I immediately said, what are you doing? Stop it.
I know, like immediately my head was like, oh no, is he hurt? What happened? Like I was looking for my what's up guy.
Yeah, like why am I doing this? Like I'm looking for these good luck charms or these bad luck charms or these signs or whatever. They have no rational, they don't go together. There's no rational thought process between one and the other. They don't relate to each other. So I got to stop. I got to stop doing that and convincing myself that I'm going to fail because of some insignificant thing that happens, or convincing myself that I'm going to succeed because of something insignificant when I could have succeeded without it.
I got a feeling that more people are going to respond to this than I would realize.
For y'all's sake, I hope that most of you can't relate, but I think that a lot of you will, even if it's not something as crazy as which day of the week I wear which pair of underwear.
I got to see this underwear. I got to see how significant this underwear is.
Well, I don't do it anymore because I changed jobs. And that was one of the things I actually felt a little relief that I was just not going to let myself do that.
Wait, do you wear underwear at work now?
Yes, but what I'm saying is that I don't have like...
See, Matt's ADD moment, another portion of the show.
Monday underwear and socks anymore. So...
Got it. Go ahead.
And it's all in my head.
Yeah.
If I convince myself that this insignificant thing is going to make something else happen, then I'm going to find that no matter what it is. Whether it's something big or something small, I'm going to relate it back to whatever that was. And whether positive or negative, when they don't correlate. Like, if you convince yourself you're going to have a bad day, you're going to have a bad day.
I like that, yeah.
And if you start your day convincing yourself you are going to have a good day, then you're going to have a good day, no matter what comes up, because you've already convinced yourself, you've already told yourself you're going to have a good day. So bring it on.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good day. And what has happened, which I didn't think was going to happen, I didn't even think it was going to affect anything, my productivity at work. I get things done a lot more efficiently because I go to work with the mindset of it's going to be a good day. I'm not going to freak out about anything. I'm going to be able to figure out everything that gets thrown at my way. I can only do one thing at a time. It's going to be a good day.
That's really good.
And just take it out as it comes.
That's right.
And I have a lot more good days. I have all good days, really, because I tell myself that today's going to be a good day every day. So where before in the morning it was constantly like, what has happened so far that I can attribute to this day not being a good day? When in reality, it was me that was making it not be a good day.
I remember the difference. I remember seeing the anxiety in you, like when you were getting ready. I just remember you rushing around, and I can remember that difference now, without a doubt. Well,
yeah, and I think it's taking responsibility for yourself and your actions rather than blaming something else. I think that really, when I sat down and thought about why do I do this, it's because I'm trying to blame something else for my failure. So if I can blame whatever it is, I didn't get the right parking spot, then it's that parking spot's fault that I had a bad day.
So it's taking the responsibility.
Yes, it takes the responsibility away from me.
Very good.
Without even realizing. I didn't sit down and say, okay, well, who can I blame for this because I don't want to take the blame. It was just where my mind went. I think that's a defense mechanism to not take the blame for something. But when you sit down, when I really sat down and thought about why is it that I do this crazy type of stuff all the time, it's because I think that's what I can boil it down to, is that I'm trying to pass the blame onto something or someone else.
Trippy. I like it.
So it's just taking responsibility. And that's, once I realized that that's what it is trying to pass the responsibility off to something else that doesn't make any rational sense, putting it back on myself, I have the power to change it. So no matter what it is, if somebody parked in my parking spot, who cares? Good for them. I'm glad for them. I'm going to park somewhere else. It's still going to be a good day.
The more obstacles you have, the better you become.
Yeah.
1,000%.
Yeah.
That's badass. Good job, Jenna.
So, and I think, so rituals don't have to be bad. I want to stop hating on some rituals for a minute.
Okay.
Because sometimes rituals can really be positive. So like saying, when I get up in the morning, I have a better day if I stretch, or I have a better day if I meditate. That's a great ritual. That's a positive ritual. That's a healthy ritual.
Would you count rituals and routines being the same thing?
Yes.
Okay.
So I think there's positive and negative ones. I've really intentionally tried to move away from these unhealthy routines or rituals or superstitions, whatever you want to call it, to really healthier ones that are actually positive.
I like that.
But regardless, even if I didn't do those positive things in the morning, it's all up here.
So what is something the listener could do to change that? Like what would you suggest them to do?
I think it's convincing yourself otherwise. So it's been a daily effort when I've parked in a different parking lot to say, this has no bearing on my day. It's going to be a good day. And I purposely park farther out than I have to, because as we've discussed on previous podcasts, that's my time to really intentionally meditate on what I'm grateful for. When I walk in to work and walk out, that's what I'm thinking about. And that helps calm my anxiety as well. But just thinking about that as well, this has no bearing on my day. It's going to be a good day. I'm going to be successful. This has no rational correlation between what I'm doing and how my day is going to go or how I'm going to be successful. And just constantly say it to yourself. What you say to yourself, eventually you'll believe. And I think that's a healthy thing for you to get yourself to believe.
You draw it to you when you say it aloud.
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yep. And then I've even said to myself, even if I have a bad day, it has nothing to do with this.
Okay. So making that differentiation too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's just, and I know we've covered this before, it's just coaching yourself through it.
Yeah.
And really identifying something small. If you have a lot of these, just identify one. Don't make yourself go crazy, because you really will. If you try to do it all different in one day, just try one thing and say, okay, this has no bearing. I'm going to do this differently from now on. And then you can work up to it. That's something that I'm probably always going to struggle with. That's just immediately where my brain goes. Something goes wrong, I want to blame it on something else. Because that's just how my mind works.
I love it.
So, I think I've been a little repetitive, but I wanted to get this out of my head because it's something that I've really been working on overcoming, and I feel like some other people can relate to it. And if not, bless you and your brain.
No, I definitely think there's value out there. I mean, I just sat here and learned a few things about you. And it's interesting because, the further you've been talking about this, I I guess I was focusing in on superstitions and thinking about it in the stereotypical way, but I do things, I think, on a daily basis, even without my knowing, to make things just a little bit more difficult. Like I went through a phase where I would only take cold showers, and like sometimes I will open the door with my left hand as compared to my right hand, and just something that makes you notice being a little bit more uncomfortable. So I do similar things. They're just different. So I can relate more than I think I was going to be able to. So
good.
Awesome.
Yeah, because when we talked about this before we started recording, I'm pretty sure you looked at me like I had lost my mind.
Well, and I still think you have, but the whole underwear thing, that's trippy. I did not realize that.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's funny is that I never thought that was crazy or whatever. It's just what I did. And I mentioned it to somebody at work one day, and she was like, I'm sorry, what? And I immediately had that like very exposed feeling, like, oh my gosh.
You're right. That's psychotic.
I never realized that was as crazy as it is until I said it out loud.
Well, awesome. Well, this is your podcast, so you got to close it out.
All right. Well, see y'all later. No.
Jesus, Jenna.
No, I think the biggest thing to take away, and I know I've said this a couple of times, is that what you convince yourself is what you believe. So stop trying to blame somebody else. Take that responsibility on yourself. That's not harder. It's actually, I think it's easier when you put that responsibility on you, because you can control you. You can't control those outside forces. So when you put the responsibility on you, you have every opportunity to make yourself successful, because it's you that you're depending on, not some external force or making sure that you can find the right socks and underwear for day one.
Awesome. All right, we'll close it out completely like I normally would.
I don't know what you say. That's your spiel.
Jenna, have you been here on any of the 30 episodes that we've done so far?
Well, yeah, but
close it out, woman. Hey, this is a piece of being uncomfortable, so do it.
But it's not that I'm uncomfortable. I just literally, I don't know what you say. It's some sort of match spiel. I just kind of tune it out. Y'all, what does he say?
Somebody's screaming at their dashboard right now at you. All right, we'll close it out how you would. I'll get ready to press a button.
We'll see you next time.
This has been the Better Than Yesterday Everyday Podcast. We want to thank you for listening and invite you to subscribe to the show as well. And follow Matt Lane Fitness on YouTube. Until next time, you don't have to be perfect. Just be better than yesterday every day.
That was horrible.
I just couldn't think of